Wire carries a lot of responsibility in jewelry manufacturing. Longevity depends on the wire. When we're setting a stone in claws, the consistency is better. The claws are going to hold up better. Mechanisms rely on wire. The parts between bracelets, anything that's moving, a wire is involved. And it's important that we discuss the fundamentals of this very important part of jewelry making. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Yaku. I've been a goldsmith for many years and we're sharing our knowledge on this channel. And behind the camera, as always, is Demaya. She does the editing and the filming. So we're going to show you our process of doing it. And hopefully you enjoy this video. The cast itself needs to be smooth, one cast straight, as proportional as you can get it, and absolutely every bit of flux or any inconsistency on that cast needs to be treated before we start the process. Two things to bear in mind when I'm going to be rolling the metal. I'm going to make sure that when I'm rolling it and I'm compressing it, that I continuously make sure that the metal is annealed. You anneal it so that it's nice and soft and it allows you to go further on the rolling mill. If you don't anneal it, you stand a chance of compressing it so much that it cracks. And again, a crack is something you want to avoid, because a crack is just a little thing right there when you're working with a piece of metal like this. But on a piece of wire, again, we're drawing it out, so the crack draws out with it, and you spoil a whole big long piece of wire. And the other thing to remember is when I'm going down, that I don't compress it too much. Don't rush through the process. Definitely don't skip holes. You stand a chance of actually getting these little flanks on the side. If your casting piece is slightly lower, which sometimes happens, so you've got a slightly thicker piece and an ever so slightly thinner piece, you want to push it through the roller with a thicker piece so that you can compress the metal towards the back. There's movement there. So I'm only dealing with a thicker section right now. I'm compressing it. And you'll start feeling that it starts connecting to the metal as you're going along. So we're almost to the point where the entire piece is exactly the same, but not quite there yet. I'm going to carry on until the entire strip has this burnished finish on it. Right, so when I'm working with it and the metal starts getting a little bit tense, it starts to twist, it starts to pull. It's never going to just go straight through because it's just not in its nature. This is a method that I use to guide the metal through so that I can get a straight result. All right, so if I want to correct that, all I need to do is when it comes through this side, as it comes through, guide it with your finger. I can get this piece pretty straight if I just make sure that I've got, as it comes out, just sort of move it. It's still fighting me in a big way, but that's a lot straighter from where I was. You might as well, when you are making wire, try and make different gauges and try and make a lot of it. Don't try and make a little piece just for one earring pin if you're going to be making that. Try and go a little further so you've got a little bit of stock. As I'm going along, I'm shedding some of it, and that helps as well with regards to your drawing. A mistake that you could make is by not annealing it enough. This will leave the metal hard. Hard metal will tend to crack. And I get to sort of like the fourth hole in my particular rolling mill. It starts feeling, it's giving me a little bit more resistance, and I usually take it to the bench and I anneal it. The reason why I want to anneal it like this is because I can use the length of the heat. See, by the time, if I'm doing this, I'm focusing in one area just there. But if you're doing this, you can cover a whole big area. You want to get it just nice and red. Slowly move it down. It's a big, like a wave, just move nice and soft. The second mistake you can make is to over anneal. We don't want to disturb the metal. We want to bring it up to a softened point, but not a melted point. If you've annealed it and it's gone a little bit too far, if you're working with an excessive amount of wire and you've done this towards an area where you don't really need it, at least cut it off and just work with a cleaner piece. Let's say, for instance, we've got an area where we stick around too long, like right there. It'll break right around the area where it got soft. That's going to be my weak spot. That little section that thinned out more because it was a softer metal. I need to taper the wire. Don't over taper it. You don't need to sacrifice the wire by doing a whole big long taper. I prefer at least 1 centimeter pushing through so that I can get a good grip. At this point, I usually use a bit of sandpaper in the hand as well, just if there's anything that was stuck on the metal from the rolling mill to clean it up. And these little vices are really handy to give you a little bit of extra grip. You don't want to go at an angle, you just want to sort of break the angle slightly. That's starting to look good. I can go thinner than this, but at this point it's not necessary. I've created a nice long area, and if you really wanted to, you can just motivate some of the parts where it's going to start, like these little corners here. You can motivate them as well to make the draw easier. In most cases this wouldn't be a problem, but in some cases, especially for the bigger wire, it'll help a lot. Now it's time to take the wire and process it to the draw plate. We're going to go from a square shape, squarish as the roller produced it, and we're going to process it by squeezing it or by forcing it through a perfectly round hole. Find where the wire fits through and go to the next one, the smaller one. Stick the wire through. You want to have a nice sturdy clamp on this draw plate, and at the same time also try and keep the wire in the center. If you're going this way, in my case I've got one of these vices that you tighten. You tend to have the vice pull into a direction if you don't keep it in the center. I drop a bit of oil. And in this case I'm going to be using one of these vice grips, and I don't have to focus on holding that tight because the vice grip basically grips it tight. I'm using my back leg as an anchor. I've got my arms locked in. I'm moving the wire with my body, and then I finish it with my arms. You don't want to be standing like this when you're pulling, where you're pulling it through, and by the time you get to that release you lose your balance towards the back. So that's why it's important to get your back leg as a sort of an anchor. Let me show you the other tongs I use as well. I've basically got a nice flat nose. Now these ones don't lock, so I've got to keep control over that pinch as well. The reason why that broke is because I skipped a hole. I do use a little magnet from time to time just to indicate where I'm at. Say for instance I'm on that hole right there. A magnet will give me the hole to go back to, and then once I've gone through I'll move it up to the next hole, and so I can keep my place. If I've gone back and I annealed this, I always come back to the same hole because the annealing actually swells the metal again. This is hot, it's getting hot, be careful of that. The second thing is if you're working with a long wire and you're drawing it like this and you're coming back here, by the time it gets through the hole it flicks back and it's likely to hit you in the face or somewhere else on your body. I'm going to give it a quick file, then I'm going to go back here, do another one, and then I'll show you guys how I get the wire straight. So you might have noticed once I put it in, I put the pliers down and I give it a little bit of a tuck. I sort of connect it. I'll make sure that it's in there, and also gives me the maximum amount of my pliers to go and connect to the wire. So I've got more real estate to pull it through. Okay, I'm clamping it into the vise, and I'm only clamping like maybe 5 to 8 millimeters like that, making sure that I've got a good solid. I'm sacrificing that little piece, but I want that piece to stay in there. I don't want that piece to move. We're going to lose a little bit of the diameter. We typically work slightly higher. If I wanted a 1 millimeter, I'll go to like 1.1 millimeter or something, so that when I pulled it now, that I end up with a gauge that I'm looking for. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some tension on the wire. I'm going to take these pliers, give myself, again, a reasonable amount of grip right there. So now we've got a loose wire with tension, but it's clamped really hard there and really hard there. I can test how much tension I'm putting on top of it. And then from here, I'm going to give it a slight pull. And in that pull right there, as I've done it now, I could feel the distance increasing ever so slightly. So our diameter has gone slightly down. And now just another trick. While I'm busy doing that, I like to give it a bit of a turn. And that turn actually reestablishes a little bit of strength in the wire. And if I release this now, you'll see what's happened. So the wire is completely straight. and ready for use. We're done. We've created this piece of wire. You can trust this wire. Why? Because you've been there the whole step of the way. Now from here onwards, it's going to serve you. When you're making claws with it, you're going to have the most perfect wire to bend over. Nothing's going to crack and break like you do with some of the cast claws. There's no reason to worry about porosity. It's going to be as shiny and as perfect as you possibly can get a wire. If you're using it in a mechanism like a chenier, something that opens and closes, you've got more life out of something like this. If you want to support the channel, you're welcome to buy us a coffee. Thank you for watching the video. Like, subscribe, share, you know what it's all about. We will discuss for the very last segment of this wire process, the mighty draw bench. What is it? Why does this beast exist? Is it outdated? Why do we use it? See you next time. I hear what you say. You have no vice. You don't know what to do because you have no vice. Well, let me give you advice. This is how we all started when we had no money.